English Campfire.
Picture this. You have just flown, like, halfway across the world.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and you're dragging these two really heavy suitcases up to a third-floor apartment that, vaguely smells like other people's cooking.
Oh, I know exactly that smell.
Right, but you've got this meticulously organized plan. You have your visa, your acceptance letter for grad school, and you've already paid your first month's rent.
So you're feeling good.
Exactly. You are completely ready for this new chapter.
I mean, it's a moment that's so full of anticipation, but it's also entirely scripted in your own head.
Definitely.
Like, the expectation is usually this formal greeting, maybe a polite handshake, maybe a sit-down conversation about the rules of the house.
Yeah, the formal stuff. But then you open the door, and there is your new roommate. He is this 6'2" American guy in the New England Patriots jersey, and he is eating cereal out of a massive mixing bowl.
A mixing bowl.
A literal mixing bowl. And it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That is just perfectly chaotic.
It really is. So today's deep dive is all about that mundane, everyday collision of two entirely different unwritten rule books.
Yeah, this is such a great topic.
We are unpacking this fascinating narrative case study about a 24-year-old Japanese graduate student named Kenji. He moves to Boston and ends up with his American roommate, Tyler.
And our source material tracks their first 3 months living together, right?
Exactly. We are going to decode the subtle language of conflict, the mechanics of friendship, and those hidden boundaries that totally define shared spaces.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, so the foundation of this entire dynamic really starts with a piece of paper.
The lease.
Right, the lease. Kenji arrives with a very clear understanding of the formal parameters because he signed that lease. It's rigid. It dictates the 12-month duration, the exact financial cost, the legal rules of the building. It is the ultimate known quantity.
Right, like you pay this much, you get to live here. It's clean, simple, legally binding.
Exactly.
But just stepping into the apartment shatters that predictable framework basically immediately.
Oh, completely.
Tyler's first words to him are just, Kenji, Tyler, welcome. He offers his quick handshake and then immediately goes, you want cereal?
At 4 in the afternoon.
At 4 p.m. And Kenji politely declines, and Tyler just says, cool, and goes right back to eating.
The source material establishes this baseline right away. I mean, they were both really well-meaning, but they are operating on completely mismatched wavelengths.
Yeah, totally. Though they do spend that first week in that classic roommate honeymoon phase,
Or exchanging phone numbers, sharing the Wi-Fi password.
But those formal agreements, like a lease, they don't cover the microgeography of a home.
No, they don't. And the friction inevitably starts at the kitchen appliances.
Yes.
Specifically, the refrigerator.
The ultimate roommate battleground. So Kenji goes grocery shopping. He buys eggs, vegetables, and some natto.
Ah, the fermented soybeans.
Yeah, which his mother had actually specially packed in his luggage to bring him a taste of home. So he brings it all back and carefully, very deliberately, organizes his food on the lower shelf of the fridge.
Right, he establishes his system.
Exactly. But then he comes back from class later that day, and Tyler has just moved everything.
Oh.
All of Kenji's carefully organized food has been shifted around to make room for Tyler's own belongings.
See, the crucial detail here is intent. Tyler didn't do this maliciously.
Right.
He wasn't being purposely territorial or, like, trying to establish dominance over the fridge.
She just did it efficiently.
Yeah, as if the mere idea of discussing refrigerator geography first hadn't even crossed his mind. He just saw empty space, and he utilized it.
It's like, moving into a shared space with a stranger feels a lot like sitting down to play a really complex board game. But everyone at the table has a completely different rule book.
That is a great way to put it.
And you all just assume you're playing the exact same game. Like Kenji is playing chess. He is thinking about every single move, how his pieces affect the board, and how not to disrupt his opponent. But Tyler is just playing hungry hippos.
Yes, just grabbing space because it's there and the game has started.
Exactly. But I really have to ask, is the American concept of a common area actually common? Or is it really just a subtle battleground for territory?
What do you mean?
Well, it almost feels like whoever claims it first owns it until someone else musters the courage to complain. Like, think about the office refrigerator.
So the worst.
Someone puts a massive leftover pizza box on the middle shelf, taking up half the fridge. They don't ask. They just assume that if someone else needs the space, that person will say something or move the box.
Right, and what's fascinating here is the vocabulary Tyler uses in the source text to justify this territorial shift.
Oh yeah, the word he uses.
Yes. When he realizes Kenji is quietly reorganizing the fridge back to its original state, Tyler asks if he messed up the system, and he notes that he just moved things to make room for his quote-unquote stuff.
His stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The word stuff is this uniquely casual catch-all term that actually does a lot of heavy lifting here.
How so?
Well, it completely democratizes objects, like a family heirloom, a cheap pen, yesterday's takeout. It's all just stuff. Huh.
That's true.
By calling it that, Tyler linguistically strips away the sanctity of personal property. He makes his own belongings sound unimportant and flexible.
Which, in his mind, makes moving Kenji's things no big deal.
Exactly.
Because if it's all just harmless stuff, there's no boundary violation. It sounds so innocent, right? I'm just making room for my stuff.
Right, right.
But to Kenji, who comes from a framework where there's an expectation of unspoken mutual respect for physical boundaries, it's a jarring violation.
Definitely.
Like you do not touch another person's belongings without permission, regardless of whether it's a sacred object or just a carton of eggs.
And this physical boundary crossing inevitably exposes their conversational boundaries too.
Oh, for sure.
When Kenji silently reorganizes the fridge, Tyler notices the tension. Kenji brushes it off, saying it's fine, but the physical environment is forcing them to confront how they actually speak to one another.
Yeah, they end up having this conversation that is just incredibly revealing about their fundamental worldviews. Kenji finally observes to Tyler, "You're very direct."
And Tyler is genuinely confused by this observation.
Yeah. He asks if that's a bad thing. He explains that his whole family is just like that. You know, his mom says exactly what she thinks. His dad says exactly what he thinks.
To Tyler, this is just how human beings function.
Right.
Tyler is operating from a cultural script where being blunt is a high virtue.
It's seen as honesty.
Exactly. In many individualistic cultures, bluntness equals authenticity. It signals confidence and transparency.
Like, I have nothing to hide.
Right. The logic is, I respect you enough to give you the unfiltered truth, and you never have to waste your time guessing what I am thinking.
Yeah. Masking your intent is seen as deceitful or even manipulative.
Exactly.
But then Kenji explains his side, which is totally opposite. He says that in Japan, they don't always say things directly.
Right.
Instead, they suggest things or they, quote, create space for the other person to understand. I mean, I love that phrasing so much.
Creating space is such a profound psychological mechanism. In Japan, there is a concept often translated as reading the air.
Reading the air, kuki wo yomu.
Yes, kuki wo yomu. And it requires intense empathy and situational awareness.
How does it work in practice?
It means you, as the speaker, are actively monitoring the other person's comfort. You leave things deliberately unsaid, dropping contextual clues so the other person can arrive at the conclusion themselves.
So you don't just blurt it out.
Never. You save them from the embarrassment or the confrontation of being directly corrected. It is a highly nuanced social tightrope walk.
And Tyler's reaction to this deeply empathetic, nuanced concept is to just look at Kenji and say, that sounds exhausting.
Which is pretty funny.
Which actually makes Kenji laugh out loud because he admits that, yeah, it actually is exhausting. It takes a massive amount of cognitive energy to constantly read the air.
Oh, absolutely.
But I look at Tyler's worldview, and I kind of have to push back on the idea that American bluntness is inherently better or more honest.
Okay, tell me why.
Doesn't bluntness just privilege the person who feels most entitled to take up all the conversational oxygen?
That's a really good point.
It rewards the loudest voice in the room while forcing everyone else to either match that aggression or just get steamrolled.
And that is the core tension of cultural relativity. What feels refreshingly honest to Tyler feels aggressive and presumptuous to Kenji.
Right.
And what feels like polite, respectful space-making to Kenji feels like an exhausting, frustrating guessing game to Tyler.
Yeah.
Neither script is objectively wrong, but they are completely incompatible. You have two people transmitting on entirely different frequencies.
And because they don't have a translation layer for those frequencies, this philosophical mismatch inevitably turns into a literal mess.
Oh, yeah.
The friction shifts from the refrigerator to the kitchen sink. The classic shared living flashpoint.
Dirty dishes.
Dirty dishes.
It is the ultimate test of any roommate dynamic.
Truly. So here is how the American apartment war begins in our source material.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Tyler leaves his dirty plates in the sink for 3 days. Kenji, practicing his cultural norm of unspoken respect and indirect action, just washes them silently.
He's creating space.
Exactly. He is trying to signal the boundary without forcing a confrontation. But then, Tyler does it again. More dirty dishes pile up.
And Kenji washes them again.
Yes. Kenji washes them again. Silence.
Right, because Kenji is waiting for Tyler to read the air.
Yeah.
He expects the silent act of washing the dishes to be a loud, clear communication of his boundary.
He thinks he's being obvious.
Right. He assumes Tyler will feel a sense of mutual obligation, realize his error, and correct his behavior out of respect.
But Tyler isn't reading the air. Tyler is just enjoying magically clean plates.
Completely oblivious.
In his mind, if Kenji had a problem with the dishes, Kenji would use his bluntness and say so.
Right.
Since Kenji is silent, Tyler assumes Kenji simply doesn't mind washing dishes. So finally, on day 4, Kenji breaks.
Oh, boy.
But he still refuses to confront Tyler face to face. He opts for what he thinks is a middle ground.
The sticky note.
The sticky note. He leaves a note on the refrigerator that reads, "Hi, would it be possible to maybe do dishes within 24 hours? Thanks." Followed by a smiley face.
The infamous smiley face sticky note.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Putting a smiley face on a complaint note is like tying a sparkly, decorative bow on a hand grenade.
That's a great image.
It doesn't make the explosion any softer.
No.
It just makes the weapon incredibly confusing right before it detonates.
Exactly.
Kenji thinks he is softening the blow, but he is actually escalating the conflict.
Because this is a textbook example of passive-aggressive behavior.
Yeah, big time.
Passive aggression is expressing negative feelings indirectly rather than openly handling the conflict. It manifests as hints, silent treatment, or in this case, notes dripping with forced cheerfulness.
Forced cheerfulness, yeah.
To someone like Tyler, who values transparency, this is the worst possible way to handle a problem.
And Tyler calls him out immediately. He finds the note, walks right up to Kenji, holds it up and asks, "Why didn't you just tell me?" And Kenji is completely mortified. He admits he didn't want to be rude, that he thought the note was a polite compromise.
Which leads to a massive synthesis moment for both of them.
Yeah, a real turning point.
Tyler actually sits Kenji down and breaks down his American cultural framework regarding conflict.
Okay, what does he say?
Tyler explains that, in his experience, a smiley face on a complaint note is actually far more hostile than a direct conversation.
Wow, more hostile.
Yes. To Tyler, the note implies cowardice. It says, "I am angry at you, but I refuse to look you in the eye and say it, so I am going to leave a paper trail of my resentment."
A paper trail of resentment, that's so true.
Kenji is just stunned. He genuinely thought he was avoiding rudeness by preserving harmony. But in Tyler's eyes, Kenji was committing a much bigger interpersonal sin by being deceitful.
It's a painful realization for Kenji. He was trying to be the perfect, accommodating roommate, and he accidentally became the villain in Tyler's narrative.
Right.
But the beautiful thing about this confrontation is that the grenade goes off and nobody dies.
Right.
Like they survive the conflict.
The air actually clears.
It does. But it leaves this lingering awkwardness. I mean, how do you actually repair a relationship after a tense standoff about dirty dishes and cultural misinterpretation?
You'd think they would need, like, a formal sit-down meeting with a talking stick or something.
Right. Instead, they participate in a highly unstructured American ritual.
Ah, yes, the ritual of the hangout.
So it's October, it's a Friday night. Tyler knocks on Kenji's door and says, "Hey, me and some guys are watching the game. You want to hang?"
Just super casual.
So casual. Now, Kenji knows absolutely nothing about American football, but he says yes anyway.
Good for him.
It feels so counterintuitive to me, though. After a massive fight about communication, the solution is just to sit in a room together and watch a sport. One of them doesn't even understand.
It seems weird, yeah.
Why does doing nothing actually fix the tension?
Because the lack of structure is entirely the point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sociologically, hanging out or chilling is the ultimate low-stakes environment. Think about going to a restaurant with someone you are in a fight with. Oh, that's awful. The worst.
Right. You are sitting across from them, maintaining eye contact, forced to generate conversation over a meal. The pressure to perform is immense.
That makes sense.
But watching a game, you are sitting side by side. Your shared gaze is directed at the television, not at each other.
Oh, I see.
It removes the pressure of direct eye contact, which immediately lowers everyone's defensive barriers. By inviting Kenji to hang, Tyler is offering him unstructured access to his inner circle.
It's like a vulnerability exercise.
Exactly. It's a way of building trust without ever having to use the word trust.
That is so interesting. So Kenji walks out to the living room. There are 4 guys there. Tyler tosses him a soda without even asking, which is, by the way, a huge shift from that overly polite, formal first week they shared.
Right, skipping the formalities.
Yeah. So for 2 hours, Kenji sits there watching this game he doesn't understand. But he mirrors the room.
What do you mean? Like, he laughs when the other guys laugh. He groans when they groan. Tyler gives him these terrible, completely confusing explanations of the plays, and Kenji just nods along.
He's reading the air again, but in a totally different context.
Exactly. And then the magic of the hangout happens. After the game ends and the guys are leaving, one of Tyler's friends looks at Tyler and says, "Your roommate's tight."
Tight. It is such a wonderfully flexible piece of slang.
Because normally you'd think of tight as meaning restricted or lacking. Like, money is tight this week, or a lid on a jar is screwed on too tight.
Right, right. But in the linguistic evolution of American slang, tight shifted to mean closely bound together.
Oh, okay.
And eventually it evolved into a description of someone who is trustworthy, cool, or a closely bonded friend.
This is a big deal.
Huge deal. When Tyler's friend calls Kenji tight, it is a profound signal of genuine acceptance.
Oh, wow.
It means Kenji has passed the unspoken test of the hangout. He didn't make things awkward, he shared the space comfortably, and he is officially woven into the group's social fabric.
Even though Kenji didn't know the dictionary definition of the word, he could tell instantly from Tyler's proud reaction that it was a massive victory.
That's awesome.
And the trust built in that living room over a meaningless football game is the catalyst that allows them to finally fix the practical mechanics of their apartment.
Because you can't negotiate rules without a foundation of goodwill.
Exactly. They move from the abstract tension into practical, concrete resolutions.
Yeah, by December, which is 3 months into their lease, the source material notes they have formally worked through their differences.
They worked through.
Right. And the phrase working through implies friction. It means the problem wasn't easy to solve, but the resolution was achieved through mutual effort.
And the details of their resolution were just so satisfying because they represent a true compromise. Like, they established the 24-hour dish rule.
Oh, nice.
Tyler agrees to wash his dishes within a single day, every single time. He adapts to Kenji's need for a clean environment.
And Kenji?
In return, Kenji agrees to speak directly if he has a problem. He adapts to Tyler's need for transparency. No more sticky notes. No more smiley face hand grenades.
That is a great compromise. They also establish clear, spoken rules for their food and supplies.
Oh, right.
They keep their personal food on clearly labeled separate shelves, honoring Kenji's physical boundaries. But they agree to split the cost of shared household goods, like coffee, paper towels, and dish soap. They decide to, quote-unquote, chip in together.
Splitting costs and chipping in. Those actions fundamentally alter a relationship, don't they?
They really do.
It shifts the dynamic from being purely transactional, like two strangers who just happen to legally occupy the same lease, into something communal.
Right. They are functioning as a unified team managing a household.
And the entire journey culminates in this very quiet, very understated moment in December.
Yeah, so Kenji is in his room studying for finals. Tyler knocks on the door and asks, "Did you eat yet?"
And Kenji says no.
Right. So Tyler says, "I made too much pasta. You want some?"
Ah, the pasta. So what does this all mean? It's an incredibly beautiful olive branch.
It really is.
It's not some grand, sweeping apology for all the misunderstandings of the first 3 months. It's just pasta.
Just a bowl of pasta.
But it signifies everything. Kenji looks up from his books and he says, "Yeah, I'd like that."
If we connect this to the bigger picture of this case study, the core takeaway is that a successful cross-cultural relationship doesn't require one person to totally surrender and assimilate to the other's worldview.
Right.
It requires bilateral adjustment. Kenji had to learn the mechanical value of American directness. He had to learn how to be blunt without feeling like he was destroying the social harmony.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
And Tyler had to learn to be mindful of his physical footprint. He had to recognize that his stuff actually impacts the mental well-being of the people around him.
They both had to actively rewrite their internal rule books.
Exactly.
They stopped trying to force the other person to play their game, and they created a new, shared game that they could play together.
A completely new set of rules.
Right. It's not the Japanese way of living, and it's not the American way of living. It is exclusively the Kenji and Tyler way.
They built a functional bridge out of sticky notes, confusing football games, and shared coffee.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's incredibly valuable for anyone to examine their own default behaviors. We often walk through life treating our specific cultural scripts as universal objective truths.
Oh, we definitely do.
When in reality, they're just the habits we happen to inherit.
Think about your own shared spaces. Your home, your office break room, your neighborhood. How do you handle a boundary violation?
That's a great question.
Are you a sticky note leaver, carefully trying to preserve harmony while masking your frustration? Or are you a direct confronter, prioritizing transparency even if it makes things uncomfortable?
Usually one or the other.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. Think about your own deeply ingrained unwritten rules of living. What implicit habits are you following right now that you just assume are basic common sense? And more importantly, how might those exact same rules look to someone completely outside your culture, stepping into your kitchen for the very first time? Are you playing chess, or are you playing Hungry Hungry Hippos? Keep an eye out for those mixing bowls of cereal at 4:00 p.m. Until next time, keep diving deep.